Graphing equations in slope-intercept form. We have linear equations, which means a straight line, right? And any linear equation can be usually written in a slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form says y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope. And slope tells me how steep the line is. Slope is basically like a change, rate of change, how something is changing. Something can be steeper, something can be less steep. That's what slope is. And b is the y-intercept. Y-intercept literally is what it sounds like, where the line intercepts or crosses the y-axis. So there is going to be a point on the y-axis, which is the one that goes up and down. That's the y-axis. And y-intercept tells me where is there a point on a y-axis. So for instance, right, if I give myself a couple of lines in here and I will say that in here, this is my y-intercept. You want to know what is that point? Well, first of all, that point has coordinates. The coordinates are 0 and 2. That means I did not go left or right, correct, from the origin. I just went 2 units up. The 2 represents the y-axis. So that is where the line is going to cross the y-axis. The point is on number 2. So b, in this case, is 2. Now when it comes to slope, I'm sure you have heard of it before. When it says slope, we usually think about rise over run, and slope is represented by the letter m. So if I have, let's say m, slope is 1 over 2. Well, the 1 is positive, so that is movement up, right? It's rise. And run, when it comes to slope, we always go to the right, never to the left. So we have rise over run, which is my y-axis. And run is the x-axis, because x-axis is the one that can go left and right. However, my rise can go up or down, but run can go only to the right. So what will I do in this case? So I will go from my y-intercept, rise 1 unit up, and then run 2 units over. And that is going to give me the second point. So slope says, how do I go from one point to the next, right? I'll figure that out and I connect my points, I extend the line, and that is a line, right? Linear line, straight line. We have an example, and this example says, find the slope and the y-intercept of the equation, and after you find it, graph it. So we have y equals 2/3 of x plus 1. Above it, I'm going to give myself the slope-intercept form, which says y equals mx plus b. And I know m is the slope. That is going to tell me how do you go from one point to the next. And b is my y-intercept, which actually is that first point that I will plot on the y-axis. And b is equal to 1. So those are my slope and my y-intercept. So I kind of identify it. So my m is equal to, right, 2 over 3. That was the fraction in front of the x, the number. That's my m. And b is my 1, is a number 1. We're going to start with b because it's the easiest one to plot, right? That is my starting point. B is the y-intercept. I would like for you to remember B is the first point that I will plot on my coordinate plane. All right, that is the starting point, the first point that I will see. So where is B equals 1 on the y-axis? Well, we have a 0, which is the origin in the middle, and then I go 1 up, that's number 1, and that is my first point. From that point, I'm going to follow my slope. And my slope says, from your first point, go 2 units. Which direction? It's positive, right? So I'm going to go 2 units up, and then 3 units over, always to the right. So from my first point, I am going to go from the y-intercept. I'm going to find my second point following my slope. I went 2 units up, and then I go 3 units over. And that is my next point. I found my next point. Now, if I connect those dots, right, those points, I can create a nice line. And that is the graph to the equation that was given to me, y equals 2/3 of x plus 1. That is it. That's all to it. Now let's look at the next example that we have in here. When I see a word problem, the first thing I like to do is read the question. And the question says, identify the slope and the y-intercept, and then graph the situation. Well, let's look what kind of information they are giving us, all right? And when I read the words graph, right away I think about the slope-intercept form, which says y equals mx plus b. And I know I am replacing 2 letters with numbers. One letter is the m, and the other letter is the b. And I know the b is the y-intercept, and that is the starting point. And m is my slope. So the problem says, Connor went to the Florida Strawberry Festival. Great. The entrance fee was $5. So just for Connor to enter to the Florida Strawberry Festival, he had to pay $5. That was, no matter what, that was the entrance fee. And he doesn't pay anything after that unless he buys something, right? Then they tell us, on top of it, the cost for strawberries was $3 per pound. So Connor had to pay just to enter $5, and that is the y-intercept. And then he paid $3 per pound. 3 is the slope. That's my m. Because the more pounds he buys, the more money he will pay for the strawberries, right? So slope is something that changes. It's a rate of change. It's based on if you get more of this, you have to pay more of that, right? Now let's graph it. The entrance is the $5. That is not going to change. That is it. So that is my first point on the y-axis. That's my 5. From there, I have to find my second point, which is slope is going to help me. Slope says 3, right? How do I write 3 as a fraction? Because I have to have rise over run. Is 3 over 1. Fraction is a division. If I divide the 3 by 1, I still have 3. I did not change the value. Since it's positive 3, from my starting point, from the 5, I go 3 units up, 1 unit over. I connect my points, and that is my line. That is the graph for this example. I would like for you to know that if the slope is negative, you will have to go down. You will rise down, and then you will go always over to the right. So pay attention to your slope if it's positive or a negative.